Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Four Lads Rangers Monday Night Live with myself, Stevie. Davie's here, and nobody knows where Kenny is. So he'll be here maybe. Ah, here he is. Look.
Better late than never.
Here he is.
Hello.
We've already started, by the way, so thanks for turning up.
You started. How dare you start without me?
Well, here's Kenny. Better late than ever, folks. Davie, I'll ask you, mate, because you had the decency to turn up on time. How are you, mate? What did you make of the Shankland news yesterday?
I think it was. I think it was Saturday night it came out, wasn't it? My phone was starting to go off on Saturday night about it. Totally unexpected, which makes it all the sweeter. I'm still a bit of a amazement that he had this clause in his contract, but it's absolutely brilliant that he did. It's actually quite funny. We're going to get him for less than the SNP spent in a camper van, which is absolutely hilarious. It's brilliant. It's everything that we said we wanted in the team, and I can't wait till it's announced and he's got the scarf over his head.
Good evening, Kenny. How are you, mate? You well?
I am, thank you. Yes. Apologies for being late. I wasn't doing much at all. Just lost track of time. So yeah, funny joke there, Davie. I liked that. Very good.
Kenny, see if you come into your house and you had spent money on a new jumper or a new pair of trainers or whatever else. I would expect thoroughly that Tracy would say to you, "Where did you get them? Did you get me anything?" So I think that's a reasonable assumption, don't you?
Well, you would say so, wouldn't you? It would be the normal procedure in most households, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
For you to turn around and question where expensive things were coming from.
Yeah.
But really expensive $4,000 pens and stuff like that. It's just bizarre.
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you? But apparently some are oblivious. I can't even get a bag of crisps past mine. So there we go. But anyway, on that note, Lawrence Shankland, big breaking news. Saturday into Sunday. I spoke about this quite a bit yesterday on the kind of solo Sunday show, which was magnificent, by the way. Everybody should go and watch it because it stars me. This was I can't remember if you were in the car when Davie Edgar told us about Shankland. Davie did tell us about 6, 7, 8 weeks ago that there was a clause in the contract and he may be on his way. So fair credit to Davie. So when I heard about this on Saturday night when it was breaking, I wasn't overly surprised, but I certainly am excited. You'll know from last summer, I said for a very long time, go and get Lawrence Shankland. There's a tweet from Four Lads in 2023 talking about Lawrence Shankland. So, yeah, tell us your thoughts about this and the deal and everything else.
I'm actually delighted. I think it's a kind of no-brainer to use that phrase that I know you don't like, but it is really it's one of them that you look at and you think the boy's goal scoring record is exceptional year in, year out. He scores goals in this league. Reminds me, it's almost like a cross between the signing of Chris Boyd and Billy Dodds. For me, it's a kind of weird one where I look at it, the stature, the physique is very like Big Boydie, but it's a boy that's stoated about the Premier League for years, scoring goals, scored goals in the Championship. It's just one of those, always been a Rangers fan, always wanted to be here. And, I mean, come on, it's just, if you're not buzzing about that, then I don't know what's right, for you, because for me, it's just one of those things that, he scored, I heard you say that as well, scored plenty against us. That's taken that out of the equation a little bit, but listen, get the boy here. I think he'll be first and foremost. He'll be good in the park, Stevie. He'll score goals for us. However, I think it's just as important that the influence he's going to have in the dressing room. A good Rangers man, a good Rangers supporter, and a fine player. So let him get this signed, get him off to the World Cup. Hopefully, it is a good World Cup. And he comes back and he's ready to go and give his all for the club that he loves and supports. So I'm absolutely buzzing about it myself.
Yeah, a lot of people talking about Elliot Watt in the comments. We will get to Elliot Watt. A lot of people should know that I said several weeks ago that interest from Rangers in Elliot Watt is 100% true. Let's talk about that in a bit. Lawrence Shankland. So, as we know of it, Lawrence Shankland signed a 3-year deal with Hearts last year, except in the 3-year he had a break clause, meaning that it was really only one with an extension of 2. He's chosen not to take that extension. Lawrence Shankland is somebody that has lived his life waiting on his move to Rangers. He has, even last summer, he didn't sign his contract all summer because he's waiting on Rangers. There's been other times at the end of, I think, his time at Ayr and stuff, he's been linked with Rangers back in 2019. I was kind of looking a wee bit back on. So he's a name that's always been in and amongst it. Rangers will pick Lawrence Shankland up for free. He will sign a 2-year contract with an extension of a third, or an option of an extension of a third year. So this is a terrific signing. I said yesterday, gentlemen, I said that this is what Rangers used to do, go and take the best teams. We had a really bad year last year, so the team above us will just go and take your captain and your top goal scorer, and we'll nick him off the end. And by the way, we'll do it for free. And we might not stop there, but I just think that's the way that Rangers should operate. I said it yesterday, and people criticise that, and maybe you boys are from a kind of time of where I come from, where I genuinely believe Rangers are the biggest club in this country. I don't care about what's happened recently. We should act like we're the biggest club in the country. Go and take the best talent off everywhere else. Go and take the captain of the team that outstripped you last year and shouldn't have, and things like that, and go and act like a big club. So yeah, I like it. I like the arrogance of it. I like the way we've done it. I like everything about it. So this pleases me greatly, not only from a Rangers point of view, but believing that's how my club should act. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn. Maybe that's the ego arrogance out of me, but I was brought up with Rangers being arrogant and winning and going doing that. So that's how I kind of feel about it. David, does any of that rambling make sense?
It makes perfect sense, and you're absolutely right. I am from the generation that remembers Rangers doing that. The number of times back in the past we would go out and sign players who had been a pain in the arse against us. I mean, John Brown used to score against us all the time. He was an absolute nightmare to play against. Everybody thought actually.
Did he get a hat trick?
He did. He scored a hat trick at Dens Park one day. They beat us 3-2. We were all convinced he was a Celtic supporter, of course, but that's another story. I totally agree with you. I think that Shankland ticks every box that we have talked about over the last.
I need to quickly ask you something, Davie. Would you ask John Brown if he was a Celtic fan or ever has been, if you ever met him?
I did. I actually have. I met him in hospitality and told him that I thought he was a Tim when I first saw him. And he just laughed and he said, and he actually laughed and he said, you weren't the only one that thought that. So it actually wasn't a problem. I mean, it helped that I had about 6 bottles of beer and 3 whiskies before I asked him. But yeah, he was fine about it. He didn't kick me or anything. But as far as Shankland's concerned, every box that we wanted ticked, he represents just about all of those boxes. We talked about having a spine that you build everything round. He's part of that spine. You talk about a leader on the park and a leader in the dressing room and influencing others. He's going to do all that stuff. He knows the club, tick. Knows the league, tick. A regular goal scorer, tick. I just can't think of anything that he doesn't bring that they said we wanted. And I'll be honest with you, this time last season, when he was available for free, I came on to here and I said I wouldn't sign him because I thought that he had a really poor season for Hearts the season before last. And I wasn't convinced that he was the player he had been before. I thought we'd missed the boat. I thought he had missed the boat more rather than we did. But he completely proved me wrong last season. I thought he was, over the course of the whole season, he was probably the most impressive centre-forward in the league. He missed it. And I think the period that he missed through injury, looking back, might just have cost Hearts the title, actually, because they dropped quite a lot of points when he wasn't in the team. I think it's no-brainer was the expression Kenny used. It absolutely is. And I'm so, as I say, I'm really looking forward to seeing him in a Rangers jersey almost as much as he is. And I'm convinced that clause was in his contract simply because he was trying to still position himself to get to Rangers somehow when he didn't get there last year. And it's a dream come true for the guy, and I'm sure his dreams will be more than met once he puts that jersey on.
Yeah, I certainly believe that as well. He kind of almost, in a weird way, kept it in there and hopefully orchestrated his move to Rangers. Kenny, any thoughts on what I said there about 20 minutes ago?
Yeah. No, I'm the same as you, same as Davie. I come from that era where, yeah, perhaps signing from abroad wasn't quite as prevalent as it is now, but we have a history of taking the best players from our league and putting them into our team. That's what we've always done from, I don't know, forever. I mean, we have. When I was a kid, it was guys like Ian Ferguson and Davie McPherson and guys like this. You'd pick them up and they were proper decent pros, good players in their own teams respectively, and we would identify them and do a bit of homework and due diligence on them and make sure that they were going to come in and settle in. And I hope that that's exactly what we're doing this summer, Stevie. I think I had a conversation at my work today, and I was saying that I've never fully bought in to the getting just Scots for the sake of Scots. I don't think it's that, but I genuinely do believe now that we are missing a core of people that have a feeling for the football club within it. I genuinely do feel that in that dressing room, and I think it's been very, very much needed. And when the chips are really down, you will get that extra 5% out of guys like that. And I am convinced of that. You get a little bit more because it means more to them. It's not just a job to them to a certain degree. They are all in on it. And Lawrence Shankland is exactly that. As you've said yourself, he's been waiting for years to come and join our football club. So you know full well that he's a grown-up lad. He's I know it was last year, a couple of seasons ago, he had shedded a lot of weight and he had went on this diet and exercise regime and properly became the ultimate professional, if you like. And you're getting a boy in his very, very prime at this minute. I feel that the experience is going to do our dressing room the world of good. As I say, on the pitch, I guarantee you, if he stays fit, he'll score 25 goals for us next season. I don't have any doubt about it.
Yeah. Another thing I like about Lawrence Shankland is, and I didn't like it at the time, but Lawrence Shankland has consistently scored goals against Rangers. Ultimate professional. And I like that. I didn't like it at the time, but I like the fact that he still gave 100% for Hearts against Rangers. Can you imagine what he's going to give when he's in a Rangers jersey, David Denise? When he's got that. There's people talking about Lawrence Shankland as captain. What's your thoughts, boys, on that? Kenny, jump in on Stevie.
He could be. I mean, he was certainly a successful captain at Hearts in terms of leadership and influence on others. I think it depends who else comes into the Rangers dressing room between now and the season starting. As it stands right now, then there's a shout to make him captain, but I think it would depend on who else appears between now and start of August. Because there's other names being bandied about that at least one of them would be a potential Rangers captain if he was to join. But as it stands right now, I would have no problem with him becoming with Shankland being the Rangers captain if it was just him and the rest of the players that are there just now. I would have no problem with it.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of that, it does depend on who appears over the summer, yeah. But he'll definitely, I would imagine, go straight into the leadership group if there's going to be one. Of that, I don't have any doubt that he's going to be very, very important behind the scenes with the club as well. And again, as I say, I just look at this and he's a Hearts captain. He's led by example over there. Why wouldn't you even consider that? And as Davie is right, it does depend on perhaps one or two who are being linked and whether they come in. But I would have no problem making him captain right away. I actually think that dressing room needs a little bit of a rocket up the arse with something like that, where somebody brand new walks in and says, I'm the gaffer in here now. I'm your captain, and you'll listen to me. I think sometimes that works wonders. I think if you look back, even at the point when Lorenzo Amoruso was a captain, and all things went quite right under the surface, and Dick Advocaat made a very young Barry Ferguson the captain, and it was so impactful that Rangers went on to have a cracking season that season, if you remember. So I don't know. I just feel that we're signing an absolute belter. I'm really quite excited about this. I really am. I just feel that all these qualities make it a kind of no-brainer for a potential captain. Yeah.
I'm going to talk about Yusuf Chermiti in a wee second. What I would like to do is just plead with the support and everybody watching. Please, no songs for Lawrence Shankland. Every time we get a great song for a player or a manager or whoever else, they turn out to be dog shit. So let's just leave it as one Lawrence Shankland as he starts to bang in the goals. That's perfectly fine and acceptable. Let's not get him a good song. So that aside, cleared that off my chest now. Davie, Yusuf Chermiti is 22, I think he turned the other day. Let's talk about Yusuf Chermiti, honestly. I've given him some amount of stick. He drives me absolutely mental. The only guy I know that could go one-on-one with a goalie and hit the goalie every single time, but happily score an overhead kick, which is one of the best I've seen, and then rifle in a cracking volley outside the box and 2 hat-tricks and everything else. Listen, I don't think you can fail to like the big man. He's actually came on massively. He's got the attitude to do it because he showed that. Because, by the way, look at what McCoy said. That's a club legend. No offence to Ali, because he was right to say it, because it did look it. People were saying he looked like an NBA player. I was going, what the hell have we got here? This boy's taken a lot. He's taken it on, boys, and he's became a striker that's banged in, 18 goals? 2 hat-tricks. He scored against Celtic plenty of times. And the big guy is a handful. He needs to take the easier chances, I would probably say. And he started to do that a wee bit towards the end. Is it wrong to think that Yusuf Chermiti, if he stays up with Lawrence Shankland would be the perfect partner, I think, because Shankland would drop it, just focus on Chermiti being in and around the box. I think that's the thing with Yusuf Chermiti that frustrates me. That header against Falkirk, the header against Hearts, we never really produce opportunities for him on the head, but he's obviously very good at it. So I'm excited. I think Chermiti, Nadiri, Shankland and Miovski at the moment in time, and we're entitled to think there's more to come from Miovski and Nadiri and things like that. I reckon the 4 of them, if you can get the right people surrounding them and supplying chances, you've got goals there. And Yusuf Chermiti is one that I'm kind of excited. The second season syndrome, I would be looking for him to get better and everything else. So, and yeah, he's made. I'll say this: Yusuf Chermiti's made me a believer, Davie.
I think we kind of forgot in the first few months of the season just how few games he'd ever played. Come, I don't know, November, December, whenever it was, I was, I thought we had bought an absolute pig in a poke. I just thought it was a disaster of a signing. But if you're saying he scored 18 goals this season, I think he only had about 2 before New Year. So he must have scored 16 goals since January, which is
December the 4th. Sorry, David. December the 4th was his second start for Rangers, I believe.
I remember he scored against Kilmarnock, he scored against Hearts at Tynecastle. I can't remember another goal he scored before New Year. He might have done, but I just can't remember off the top of my head right now. But if he scored 18 goals, he must have scored the vast majority of them in the second half of the season from New Year onwards. I think he's been really, really impressive, especially in the bigger games. He still drives me a wee bit mad in terms of the chances he misses, but I suppose he's not the first Rangers centre forward I've said that about. I think a lot depends on what he wants, because I think we will get bids for him in the summer, and I think a lot will depend on, like a lot of players of his profile, whether they think, I'd rather stay another year, I'd rather build my craft, I'd rather get better, I'd rather improve at Rangers and then move when I'm more of the finished article, or whether if he does get an offer in the summer where the money will turn his head straight away, because you saw that with Eggman last summer. He was off as soon as there was a bid after one season. I think we will get bids for him. And incredibly, after what I thought about Chamiti last December, I think we'll make a significant profit on him, even though we spent a fortune on him. I can't imagine him going for less than 20 million quid, which is bonkers considering what I thought of him 5-6 months ago. I think a lot will depend on A, what offers we get and how much they are, and B, what the player wants to do. Because I think, unfortunately, the player power sort of trumps a lot of club power these days. But if he was to stay a second season, it wouldn't upset me in the slightest. And I think him and Shankland have got all the makings of players that really might complement each other incredibly well in terms of experience and youth, in terms of pace and strength, in terms of being able to drop off and in the box. I think there's a lot of way you could balance up front. I'd love to see the two of them next season. I hope we do see the two of them next season. I'm not 100% convinced that if we get a big money offer that the player himself might not decide he'd rather go than stay, but time will tell.
Kenny?
Yeah, I totally agree with that, actually. I think a huge amount of it will depend on what young Chamiti wants to do himself. If he feels that his career could prosper elsewhere and we get that offer, then, there was talk last week of Porto, wasn't it? And that's a massive club in Portugal, obviously, but that might appeal to a young Portuguese lad. Better chance of getting into the national team if you're over there, I would imagine. But I am with you in this. I actually think him and Shankland would dovetail really, really well. Two physical lads. I think Nadiri would be great foil for them, either of them as well. And Miovski, I'm not quite so sure about. If we're going to play with two up front, I'm not 100% convinced that Miovski's maybe going to accept the fact he's going to be a fourth choice, which for me probably looks that way. So you might find that if Chamiti does stay, it might be Miovski that moves on. But I think one of them will move on, just because, as I say, if you're going to play with two up front, you need four strikers. But I'm not convinced that Bojan Miovski at his age will particularly want to sit there and not get a huge amount of game time. So I'd love Chamiti to stay. I think on paper, on the surface, you look at him and Lauren Shankland, and I think that Shankland would be a perfect foil for him, actually. I think he'd be really good, and good in terms of teaching him the game as well, because Lauren Shankland's about 30, been about a bit. He knows the game very, very well. And just something about Lauren Shankland, if you remember, when we were at Tynecastle and they weren't getting a kick of the ball, and we're about 35, 37 minutes, something like that, Lauren Shankland just waded right into Manny Fernandez. And then about 30 seconds later, he did it again and got a booking. And it just unsettled us a little bit. And they managed to get into the game. And that's the kind of leading presence that I think we need, is that somebody that actually knows this isn't going for us. We need to do something about it. He took his booking, took one for the team effectively, and just unsettled us just a tiny little bit. But it got them into the dressing room and they managed to recover. And you know what happened. And that's the kind of leader that I'm looking for. And it's that type of thing. Up front in particular, I think we've been missing quite a lot this season as well. Somebody that's actually quite prepared to go, do you know what, these centre-halves are getting a far too easy a time of it. Go and give them a bit. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens next summer or through the summer, because I genuinely think there'll be a lot of comings and goings, and I don't see that four that are there at the minute. Plus Danilo's there obviously as well. He'll be back, won't he? So I don't see those five. Is he not coming back at all? So the four, and that'll be that then. I don't see the same four being there, though, if I'm being honest.
I would thoroughly expect Danny to go back to Brazil. That seems to be where he is. If we can get a couple of million for Danny. Listen, everybody knows relationship with Danny and how I feel about him. I think Danny's a cracking striker, but in all honesty, cracking striker, cracking guy. I think the injuries have completely killed him off. in terms of his body, in terms of the Scottish game and everything else. So if they could get a move that benefited Danny to go back home, sunnier climate, back home for him, I would miss him. I would miss his dad. Certainly would miss his dad. That was fun. Easter Road. But no, we'll need to wait and see. I don't expect Danny to be here. I don't expect Bainami to be here. I think there'll be quite a few that will leave. Boys, another name that is heavily linked. Well, there's a few names that are heavily linked with Rangers, but one of them is Elliot Watt. I said on this podcast 3 or 4 weeks ago that Rangers are most definitely interested in Elliot Watt. Joshua Barry said it a long time before me that Rangers were keeping the tabs and definitely interested. There has been some suggestion on X from posters that Elliot Watt deal is in its fruition. We'll need to wait and see on how true that is. I've made my feelings on Elliot Watt perfectly clear. See if Rangers were to start a summer with signing Lawrence Shankland and Elliot Watt, whilst we're interested in James Penrice and Luke Graham and the Swedish right back whose name I can't pronounce or remember. These are quite good starting points for me. So I'm interested to see your thoughts on. I'm encouraged. I'm not overly. How do I say this? These are all good signings. I'm still waiting for the wow factor signings that are hopefully to come.
I think, well, if I start with Elliot Watt, I think that in the 4 games against Rangers last season for Motherwell, in just about each one of them, he was by a mile the best midfield player on the park. And I won't pretend that I watched loads of Motherwell games last season. I did see them occasionally, but any time I saw him, especially in those 4 games against us, he was outstanding. He completely dominated the middle of the park. He was the one that controlled the tempo of the game. He was the one that passed his way around the Rangers players. He just looks like the number 6 type player that we absolutely are crying out for. And I think that the bonus with him, as well as being one of the best midfield players in the league last season, is that he's another one that gets our club, who loves our club, who wants to play for our club. And the way Kenny talked there on, you'll get an extra 5% for Lawrence Shankland because of the jersey he's wearing. I think you'll get an extra 5% out of him as well for the jersey he'd be wearing. The only downside for me, and I'm not sure if it is a downside, is just the fact that he's been stumbling around into lower leagues and lower teams for quite a number of years. I've seen quite a few one-season wonders in the league who have one great season and you never see them again. I don't think he's like that, but he seemed to come from nowhere. It's not as if he's just a young boy. I think he's in his mid-20s now. So, but if he maintained the form for last season, I think he'd be outstanding in a Rangers jersey. And I would not be against having. I don't know what fee Motherwell would be looking for him. I have no idea. I would imagine I would be surprised if we got him for less than £2.5-3 million. I would have thought. But for that kind of money, I think we'll sell Raskin this summer. I think we'll sell Diamande this summer. What would be a sensible addition to the midfield in terms of both something we've not got anyway, and also replacing players who are going to move on?
Yep, the thing I like about Elliot Watt is he's a specialist in his position, and I think in midfield that is exactly what we're missing. He's a number 6. He's a number 6 that sets the traps for Motherwell. He's the one that, as you said, Davie, he's just controlling that game, but he's the one that's actually setting the traps. You watch him when they're playing, and he's pointing at everybody. Give it there, put it here, and then he's away. Bang, a wee 5-yard run, and the trap's been set, and they're away. And it's happened with Motherwell all season. And I actually think he's one of those guys that I totally agree with Davie. That you're sitting going, why was he at Torquay and places like this? How did he end up there? And then you look at it and you think, well, maybe it's just that you get players that are late developers, and he's not quite made it when he was a kid and had to go down to the lower leagues and work his way back up. Not the first to do that, and he won't be the last. For me, it's again, if we do go and get Elliot Watt, I'd be really quite excited about that, because, as I say, for me, more than anything else, It's something that you yourself, Stevie, have been saying for a long time. We've got 4 midfielders and they're all the same. They all do the same job. And we need guys that are specialists in their positions. And a proper number 6 I think we actually need 2. That's the point. I think we need 2 6s. I want to see another one come in as well. But I'd be quite excited about that. If we could get the boy, I think I read somewhere that, again, it was online, so I've no idea how true it was, but I think they had what they're looking for about £3 million. And I think at 3 million in today's market, you're getting exactly what you guys have said. It's that guy who's going to give you that extra 5%. Rangers fan, loves the club, knows what it's all about. I don't think it's a difficult decision to make at all. If you're Rangers, just go and get him. And the more Scots that care that we can get in our team, the better at this minute in time. And then you can get that core and build throughout your squad and add the quality that we need. Because I'm not to say he's not quality, because I actually think he is. Thought he was probably, for me, the best midfielder in the league last season. I genuinely do think he was absolute class all season. So,
well, there's a lot of people saying that Watt isn't good enough. Watt was voted, I believe, by his fellow colleagues, fellow players in the Players Team of the Year. So, I mean, I judge fellow pros in that. I can only tell you what I think I've saw, and that is a player that's a really good player. He has dominated us in several games to the point where we've all been talking about him, saying that he's a really good player. So, yeah. We just need to wait and see. I mean, there is that thing, right? Look, I think I've been excited about players before. I'm a Rangers fan, right? I'm going to be excited about signings. I'm going to try and talk up our team, and I'm going to look good. I'm going to look on the good points and things like that. Of course, there's negatives to it. Stop laughing, Kenny. I'm going to look good anyway, but I mean, like, I'm going to look at the good points.
I thought that's what you were going to say, and I'm going to look good while I do it.
Well, no, but thanks for embarrassing me. Jesus, what was I going to say? I'm going to look at the good points of it, and I think Elliot Watt would be a really cracking player. Also linked is Dan Neil. This is a rumour that won't go away. Dan Neil, former Sunderland captain. I don't know a lot about him. So there's no kind of opinion on it from me. Again, a specialist number 6. And quite highly thought of. Here's the thing, right? I'm sorry if this comes across as being wrong, and I do try and look at the positives and everything else. The whole Championship English side of it would worry me a wee bit. We've signed midfielders, and I look at Barton, I look at Rothwell, and they're supposed to come up here and scoosh this league and be the best midfielder, and they come up, and it's like, fuck, man, I could outpace this guy. So, and I don't run for anything, the odd basket, but that's about it. And I'm just a wee bit concerned with Dan Neil, and I don't have a lot of knowledge of him. I don't know how true it is. I don't know anything about that kind of deal. There was rumours that he was up here a couple of weeks ago and having a look at a Rangers game and taking in the stadium and everything else. So I think it's because we've been burnt before, Davie, Kenny, that I'm maybe thinking that I'm just a wee bit sitting on it. But then, Elliot Watt, one good season. There's pros and cons of everything, isn't there?
Yeah, I feel the same as you do, actually. Dan Neil was a really important part of the Sunderland team that got promoted the season before last year, when they came up for the Championship. And Sunderland did exactly the right thing in that when they went into the Premier League, they realised that they had to upgrade their team, and they brought Xhaka and the ex-Arsenal player into his position. And he's a better player, so simple as that. I know he went to Ipswich on loan in January. I don't think he particularly was a regular there either, to be honest. Anytime I don't watch a lot of Championship football, but I did see them 2 or 3 times, and he came on as a substitute in both the games that I watched them. Ipswich get promoted as well. Now he's out of contract. Good Championship players, as you say, haven't always translated into being good Rangers players, and maybe that's scarring our thoughts of him, because we're not actually thinking of him, we're just thinking of where he's coming from. but I don't know enough about him to say whether he would upgrade what we have. I really don't know. If he signs, he signs. But at the moment, the jury's very much out as far as I'm concerned, and whether the next Joe Rothwell will be the Joe Rothwell, whether he would be the Joe Rothwell we thought we were getting, or whether he would just be another Joe Rothwell, I really don't know.
I think we've been bitten too many times by that league. I think that's our issue with this. You think Todd Cantwell, Joe Rothwell, Tom Lawrence, Kieran Dowell, in these positions. There's, in midfield, we've taken punch on many of them from that league, and they haven't really worked. And it's not to doubt any of the guys' talent. I just think it's a very different league, the Premier League. And I don't know. I haven't seen huge amounts of them. Weirdly, like Sunderland, I watched the Championship when they were in it. They were a club I've barely seen for some reason. And I know he's been at Ipswich this season. I haven't seen much Ipswich either, to be honest. So I genuinely don't know. But we've been linked with him for quite a while now. So I'm presuming there's something in that. The one thing I would say on a positive note about it is he's a young lad. He's only 24. You're getting a boy that's going to come into his prime. So, I don't think if you can get him up here on a package, I don't think it will cost huge amounts of money. I think it'll be in a fine wage, don't get me wrong. But I do think that if it doesn't work in one seat the first season, it'll be very easy to just move him on down into that Championship again. I think that's where I am with it. I'm not buzzing about it, but I think it's the same for me as with you two guys. I just look at it and think, hey, we've tried that league before and it doesn't really work for us. I just don't. It doesn't fill me with a huge confidence, put it that way, when you see, because I mean, the one guy that I always point to was Tom Lawrence. Tom Lawrence was brilliant in that league for about 3 seasons in a row before he came up here. And he got a bad injury, but it just never really worked for Tom Lawrence. And I don't really know what else to say about Dan. Good player by all accounts, Stevie, but I haven't seen enough of him to overly comment. I've got to be truthful on it.
Yeah, other rumours. Luke Graham from Dundee, centre back again. This is one that's been claimed to be quite far on. I think there's a lot of interest in Luke Graham, a lot of interest, including from Italy. So we'll just need to wait and see. Is he a player that I would like? Yeah, I think I would like him. Left-sided Scottish centre backs. It's a bit of a rarity, I think, for us. So yeah, I'd be interested in getting him. James Penrice at left back, really good player to have to push Romans. Is there any thoughts on these guys? I mean, again, listen, here's the thing, and this is what I said about the start, and somebody asked me, what do you think of a wow factor? Well, I don't think that Penrice and Luke Graham start for me. Shankland would start, and he's a good signing, but he's a free transfer. The wow signings are the one that's going to come, but it's going to be the big signings. Penrice, I think you'd probably get for about £3 million. Again, I know people talked about Elliot Watt. I don't think £3 million is a lot of money. We paid 4.5 for Chukwani. So 3 isn't a lot of money to me, not when you're getting that type of quality. So Luke Graham, there's an interest in James Penrice. These are ones that are heavily linked. 2 Scots again. Boys, what's your thoughts on these guys?
Well, if I start with Luke Graham, I think we should sign him. I was going to say it straight away. I think we should sign him. I remember watching him, and it was a game we won 3-0 against Dundee in the season, but we scored twice at the last minute, I think it was. I thought he was excellent that day. I thought he was by far Dundee's best player. He's young. He's only going to get better. Again, knows the league, understands the demands of the club, blah, blah, blah. I think he's the sort of profile of player that I think makes just complete sense. And despite the fact there will be competition for his signature, he's not going to cost some silly money either. I think we should go out and get him. I think he could be a sensible signing. Penrice, I don't know how he's done in Greece. I haven't really been paying much attention to his career since he left Hearts. At Hearts, he was a decent left back without doubt. He's got him his move. Would he come here to be second choice? Because I think he would be. And depending how much overall we want to spend in the summer, is 3 or 4 million quid on a second choice left back sensible when you might be able to pick one up for a lot less than that and prioritise other positions? I'm not as sold on him as being a nailed on good idea. But
are you paying the extra million or so because he's Scottish though? Are we thinking the quota and stuff?
That's the kind of thing that comes into the equation, isn't it? But I don't know. I just don't know whether spending 3-4 million quid on somebody who is your second choice. I don't know whether we would do it. I don't know whether there's other left backs that you would be able to look around and get that you could get 15 games a season out of. And saying that, if Romans didn't have the best injury record towards the second half of the season after we bought him, so maybe it does make sense to have almost like 2 left backs you can pick from who are of relatively similar standard. But I'm not 100% sold in Penrice, but I think Graham's is one we should definitely go after.
I'm sold on both of them, actually. I think Penrice is a really good player. Really liked him at Hearts. I know he's done really well in Greece. They won the league there, I know that. And by all accounts, he played a lot of games. Yeah, well, Scott's saying that as well. Played most of the games, I believe. So, he's coming off the back of a good season. I don't mind paying the £3-4 million for him at all, actually, because I'm of the mind with Rangers now that we need competition for every single position. We need 2 quality players in every position. We used to have that, and there's a mindset now that we perhaps don't do that. We're going to play guys 50, 60 times a season, and I don't want to see that. I want us to stop doing that. And actually, if you're going to rotate properly, and you replace like for like almost to a certain degree, you're replacing an international, one international kind of thing. And that's where the young boy Luke Graham is again. It makes total sense to me. Exactly what you guys were saying. It's the right profile. A 21-year-old Scottish boy. I know there is a lot of competition, and I know he's got offers coming out his ears. So we'll wait and see what the boy does. And it'd be quite a coup if we could get somebody like that to stay in Scotland, because by all accounts, it's not just Italy. I think he's got offers in Germany, England, Spain. He's got lots and lots of clubs looking at him. So good luck to him wherever he goes. But I think it'd be a cracking signing for us, because it's one for the future. He's the type of boy. He's 21. And if he takes to the club, he literally could be here 10, 12, 13 years for all you know. So it doesn't really matter to me how much you kind of spend on it. That's just a proper investment. And again, as I say, a fantastic addition to the squad. And in a position that at the back there, we are desperate to get bodies in, and I'd like to see some Scots in there. So I'm happy with that, actually. Really happy with both of them, or being linked with both of them.
Can I ask, Penrice isn't like Aaron Hickey, where he can play left and right. Is he purely predominantly left-sided?
I think he's predominantly left-sided, but I'm not sure, actually, when you're saying that. There's something that kind of struck a chord with me there. I'm not sure.
I certainly don't remember him playing right back for Hearts, but maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
No, maybe I'm just making up. It wouldn't be the first time. Andrew Kavanagh talked about having a Scottish core. I think these names released, that's not the right word. I think these names linked with us are certainly good options. Here's where I'm going to, right. That's all good and well, right? I want a Lewis Ferguson type signing. I want Mikey Moore back from Tottenham. Now they're staying up. Don't be selfish, Tottenham. You're not going to play him. Just give us him back. So it's the right thing to do. We can give you like Conor Barron or Danilo or somebody. That's fine. Like that's fair. No, in all seriousness, you want Mikey Moore back. I want a right winger. I want a Lewis Ferguson type. That to me is wow type signings. It's all right building a squad, and I think that we are. trying to do that, and I think the names linked is building a squad. But I want a big commanding centre back that's going to boot you so far up in the air that you're going to think twice about coming near our box. I want a midfielder that's going to bleed for Rangers and run with the ball and charge into tackles and score goals and lead the team. And I want a winger that's a fucking right winger that just stays out in the right and is happy to be here and plays on the right and is good. Like, I'm 42 and I think I've seen about 2 of them in my lifetime. And yeah, give me Mikey Moore back on the left. And yeah, look, that's wow signings to me. That's exciting. Build a squad, I get it. Build a squad, pick up guys, build your team, get the core in there. I understand all of it. Give me somebody to get really excited about, Davie. Give me Lewis Ferguson, make him captain. Give me a Mikey Moore back. Give me a right winger. That's when we start getting really blood pumping.
Well, when I said in answer to your Shankland question at the start about him being captain, that I had someone else in mind. If we signed, I would make him captain rather than Shankland. It was Lewis Ferguson that I was hinting about. For me, he would be the absolutely ideal signing. He would, and please don't take this the wrong way, but see what the other lot have had in terms of a midfield linchpin who insisted on standards and who drove their team on to win games and all that stuff. They've had one of them for the last 15 years, unfortunately. We really need somebody like that, somebody who will bleed for our cause, who will shake his fist around the park, who will kick asses, who will tell others exactly what's expected of him. And he's a bloody good player as well. The only slight doubt I've got about Ferguson is that I'm not 100% sure, since he's had his knee injury, whether he's still exactly the same player as he was before that knee injury, because he doesn't seem to have played as often or started as often as he did before it, since he's come back. But I think he would love to play for Rangers. He would be honoured to wear the Rangers armband. We would really take to him. I wish we had signed him years ago, to be honest, but he, for me, is the absolute nailed on, stick on, ideal Rangers captain next season if we could get him. And who knows if he's got a clause in his contract as well. I've got absolutely no idea. But if he maybe he's got a Rangers clause in there the way Shankland's got, I've got absolutely no clue. But I think he would be the marquee signing, or the marquee Scottish signing that I think would get the blood pumping. As far as Mikey Moore's concerned, God, I would love to have him back. I'm worried a little bit that us not making the Champions League might make Spurs think that a second season here isn't going to develop him any more than it did this season, and they might look to send him somewhere else on loan that's maybe get Champions League football as opposed to Europa again. But other than, if we can get him, by Christ, I would go down and get him myself and drive him up.
How about Tottenham just do it their fucking top tilt? Please him. Kenny, we've spoke obviously about Lewis Ferguson and all that before, and it's one of those kind of pipe dream ones. We'll need to wait and see. I just give him an example of a type of wow factor that would get people excited, that would get me excited. But what do you think? Like, we expect lots of changes. We're told there's going to be lots of changes. How massive an overhaul do you think we need? Like, what are you looking at in and out? I would not be surprised, genuinely, if we're sitting at a dozen in, a dozen out quite easily. When you look at everybody that's left on loan, to having, Leon King and all that leaving, and you've got the likes of Bayrami, Danilo, maybe Tello Asgard. There'll be a few in the first team that will need to make way as well. When you look at that, I think that 12 out is not going to be that bad. Bad, I guess, but coming in, you probably need, I think you probably need a dozen as well. Your thoughts?
I think that the turnover is going to be massive, actually. I think they said it was something like 27 in and out last summer. Is that right? I think it was something like that, they said. I think it will be very similar. I think they're trying to downplay it a little bit at the press conference last week, but I think when you actually read between the lines, when you actually consider they've already said that everybody that was coming back on loan will be gone. They've already said that whoever's coming back, don't expect them to be here. So that includes Danilo and Cifuentes and guys like that, as you say. the thing that I look at is that the way that you're going to stick with Danny Rule. Do you expect Jack Butland to perhaps be moving on? I wouldn't surprise me at all. I think Jack's done a good job for us up to a point. I think his distribution lets him down. We all know this. And I think the way Danny Rule wants to play, I think he wants a keeper that is more like a keeper sweeper, if you like. There's 4. What was it? Magoma, Cornelius, the loan signings. I'm trying to remember them now. They're all gone. All the loans are away. Mikey Moore, I'd love to keep, or bring back, but I'm very much of the mind that when you look at these clubs in the Premier League down there, what they tend to do is send a kid on loan, and then the next season they'll send them to another league. It's just an education. They want to give them an education so that they're ready to play for them. So I'm not convinced that he'll be here next season, although I would take him in a heartbeat. The midfield, I think it's probably time for Nico to go in terms of he's got 2 years left, and your Rangers being the selling club on Nico, I think you have to strike while the iron's hot. He's going to the World Cup, and I do think it's probably the right time for Nico himself to move on. Moti Amandi, I think, his flair to deceive at times. I like him as a player. I just don't think he's consistent enough. Majovsky I've talked about. Jerry Gassama I don't think is consistent enough. Oliver Antman I think will go. Bayrami will go. And the list just goes on and on and on when you think about it. There's a major overhaul going to happen, Stevie. There's just no question of it. When you think of all them that, as fans, we would all look at and say, well, perhaps with the exception of Nico Raskin, who's been a good player for us, they're all expendable. Nobody's going to bat too many eyelids about certain players disappearing, are they? And that's the sad thing, the sad truth of it. When you finish third in a league where it's a 2-horse race, you're going to have to be ruthless with a lot of decisions. And I just feel that, as I say, I think the board, I think that Andrew Cavan and Jim Gillespie were trying to play it down a little bit last week, but I think when you look at it, it's going to be as big an upheaval this season as it was last season, because I think it's required. I think it's that simple. And with somebody like Lewis Ferguson, that is an absolute come on. It's a stick on for me. And if you want a marquee signing, a proper wow factor signing, I noticed that Conte left Napoli today. Go and get your boy Billy Gilmour on loan for a year. If the new manager turns up and doesn't fancy him, go and get him for a year. That would be a marquee signing, Stevie.
Need help with the away tickets. I was going to go there, but can't wait to see the reaction of this. And in my opinion, well, people are going to hate me even more. But listen, opinions are everything. Ben Jacobs has tweeted out, Rangers have made a fresh approach to Josh Windass to discuss bringing him back to Ibrox. It follows an attempt in January, which Wrexham rebuffed. More move driven by Danny Rule, who had Josh at Sheffield Wednesday. No club-to-club talks yet. Wrexham have indicated in January didn't want to sell. I absolutely love Josh Windass. I really do. I don't care. Like I will give my opinion how unpopular it is. I think Josh Windass is a terrific player, and people look down their nose at him because he was a tube the first time round. As a footballer, like goal-wise and everything else, his return, his stats and everything are terrific. He scores some magnificent goals at the right age, peaking at the right age. I think Josh Windass is a cracking player. Lovely lad as well. He's a very funny guy. There you go. Davie, Kenny, wade in.
I hope Wrexham hold firm. I'll just put it that way. No, I mean, I don't see him as being a player who is going to turn us from third into first. I do get that he's talented. I do get that he scores some spectacular goals. I get all that. I just don't think he's What age is he? He's in his 30s now. What age is he? Anyway, not for me. I would far rather see us play Finlay Curtis far more often and not bother buying Josh Windass.
Josh Windass. I don't hate it quite as much as David, but I don't like it either. Put it that way. It's just not for me, mate. I think you're saying he was an all, but I think he was a bit worse than that, actually. Just an idiot when he was here. Do you know what I mean? That's all I can say. I just don't really have much time for people like that, and I think when you're shushing your own fans, you really need to steer clear.
I heard he was shushing you because he'd heard you on the podcast. So.
Probably. And listen, he's a good player. That is the one thing. Any time I've seen Wrexham, he is a good player. But again, I think he's past his best. I think they'd said something like £5 million in January, didn't they? I think that's kind of the money they were looking at. And he's not young. I think he is about 30, Davie. I'm not 100% what age he is.
He's not 32.
Is he as old as that? Well, I mean, that's just stupid money. I wouldn't even entertain that. I hope, as Davie says, Wrexham are looking for about 15 million and we just go, no thanks.
Anyway, we said earlier on we don't want players for the Championship, so just let them stay there.
Aye, but I'm allowed to be two-faced if it's somebody I like. And I like Josh Windass. Listen, this Rangers team don't have enough goals. I'm not saying you buy Josh Windass, right, and he's your star man number 10. Rangers need goals in their team, right? And if you can pick up Josh Windass for a couple of £1 million or whatever, then he's gonna bring goals, he's gonna bring assists, he's gonna bring involvement. Josh Windass is a good player. By the way, Josh Windass, Steven Gerrard wanted Josh Windass to stay. He was going to be a star boy under him, and Josh Windass moved. So I would be interested in getting Josh Windass back. I don't care how intelligent guys are and everything else people saying in the comments about Josh Windass. Is he going to score goals? Is he going to contribute? Is he going to make an impact? The answer is yes. And if people have actually watched Josh Windass is a good player. As I said, I would be interested in that one, depending on if the deal was right. And I know, look, I don't care about being popular. I really don't. I don't care about being popular. I care about Rangers being the best that they can possibly get. If you're sticking Josh Windass in my squad, I know that you're getting 12 to 15 goal involvements a season from, and we don't have guys that will do that. And that's where I look at it. If you're talking about paying £4, £5, £6 million, the answer is no, he's 32. But if you're talking about getting him a good deal, then yeah, and I get it. It's not popular and everything else, but I watched Josh Windass. I watched him score brilliant goals for Wrexham. Watched him score big goals for Wrexham. He's a big game player. And yeah, I'm sorry. In our squad, I'm taking him, lads. I'm sorry.
It's a hell of a hill to die on, Stevie, but if you want to die on it, you carry on. I think what I would say is that if I was going to spend a couple of £1 million, I would rather get the boy from Motherwell or Braga for Hearts or something like that, who's younger and who scores goals in our leagues and aren't arseholes. So I'll just leave it at that.
As I say, I don't hate it as much as most will, because people forget he was scoring 20 goals a season for us, and I'm certain he's a little bit more mature than when he was back then. And somebody's actually pointed out, fair play to them, that Chermiti shushed the fans this season, and he did. So I shouldn't hold a grudge for the best part of 10 years on Josh Windass for doing it, I suppose. But I do. So I just feel it's one of these things, Stevie. Personally, I can't see the leadership qualities in him at that age, if you know what I mean. But I don't know him, and I'm not privy to the Wrexham dressing room, and by all accounts, he's a very, very well liked lad down there. So, let's move on from Josh Windass.
Can you talk about something then while I get Josh Windas's stats up and see how many goals and stuff he's scored? Just make something up about yourselves.
I remember he scored against Celtic, if that helps you. I'm sure he scored a couple of hat-tricks, didn't he? Didn't he score a hat-trick at Hamilton?
21 goals, 21 goal involvements in 41 games for Wrexham in the Championship this year. 16 goals and 5 assists. As I said, I genuinely, I get it. I understand what people feel about him. I don't care about what Josh Windass is like. I care about if Josh Windass as a squad player and everything else is going to be one that contributes to Rangers. And the fact is, he definitely will. I don't care about being popular. My honest opinion is, would I take Josh Windass as part of the squad? Absolutely. And I think when you look at his stats, you look at the ability, the goals he scores. Yeah, he's 32. I'm not paying big money for him, but if you get the opportunity to add him to the squad, then yeah, I am. There we go. Please come back and listen to the next podcast we're on. It's all about opinion. I don't mind the absolute tanking I'm taking, but that's what it is. Moving on, gentlemen. Finish off with Lawrence Shankland again. We started it. Lawrence Shankland is coming to Rangers on a free transfer. He signed a 2-year deal, 1-year extension, captain material, 20 goal a season man. I will finish it off by saying I'm delighted Lawrence Shankland is coming to Rangers and is going to be a very good player for us and score goals for us, I hope. But I'm more delighted for the boy himself. He's going to live the dream. And yeah, I'm delighted for Lawrence Shankland.
Yeah, I think we all are. As you say, living the dream is exactly it. You get the feeling he's been waiting for this moment for I don't know how many summers. Almost like at the end of almost every season, he's been hoping and praying that Rangers come in for him, and it's finally happened for him, and it's brilliant. And I think you can't underestimate guys like that. Will give that little bit extra when the going gets tough, and we need more players like that. I think he'll be great in the dressing room. I think he'll be great on the park. I think he'll be great off the park. And I think if the rest of our business this summer makes as much sense as this transfer has, then we'll be in a better mood come August than we are just now.
It's a statement signing, actually. That's what it is more than anything else for me. It's a message of intent, I think, from the board, from Danny Rule. I think it's a fantastic signing. I genuinely do. I think it's just one of those that you look at the goals that he's going to bring, the leadership that he's going to bring. As I say, I think he's going to be most important in the dressing room. Actually, I think he's a leader of men, and I think that's exactly what we're missing. And I think at his age, he's still got 3 or 4 years left in him, Stevie. So we've got him on a 2-year deal with the option on the 3. I think he'll be absolutely fine for the 3 years for us. I think it's an absolute stick on that he'll be a success, and I genuinely mean that. I think he'll do very, very well for us, and I'm excited about it because it's been a long time coming for the boy himself. He will be absolutely delighted. But if there's ever a deal or a signing that makes perfect sense, it's that one. It really is.
Yeah, congratulations to Lawrence Shankland. Absolutely delighted he is coming home. I'm really looking forward to seeing Josh Windass ping some through balls for him and Jeremy. On that note, huge thank you to our guests, Davie and Kenny. Well done, lads. Much appreciated. A huge thanks to our sponsors, Rhino Express, Clyview Fire Protection and Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, Candid, and our Sunday show sponsor, rydc.co.uk. We are looking for new sponsors for the season, as most of them come out of their sponsorship deals with us. We would be really interested in hearing from you. If you want to sponsor us, please get in contact with us at 4ladshadadream@gmail.com. We are looking to introduce a couple of new podders. We're talking to a couple of people right now as well. So 4 Lads might be making some summer signings soon as well. So we're looking forward to that. Huge thanks to everybody in the comments, everybody in the description, and everybody getting involved. If you haven't, please like and subscribe. I think we're 5 short of 13,000 subs on YouTube, so it'd be great to hit that. So yeah, please get involved, and if you want to join the podcast, there's a QR code up in the top corner, and you can join for as little as 99p a month, and that really helps us grow. Really, really thank you, everybody. We appreciate your support, which is unbelievable. Thanks again to the boys, Davie and Kenny. Everybody, go and have a good night. I think St Mirren are playing Thistle in the playoffs on Sky, so if you fancy the football, go and watch that. I am off for now. Have a fabulous evening. And if you're out, folks, buying caravans and cars and paints and whatever else you're buying, be sure to tell your wife. Take care for now.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.